Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. I guess you've had one lecture before, and they've had quite a few lectures. So I hope you've been enjoying the START program. And first and foremost, I think this is a fantastic initiative that ISRO is undertaking, and I'm very happy to be a part of this. So thanks to ISRO for inviting me to this. And as the lecture title suggests, I'll be talking about this building structures for extraterrestrial environments. It's obviously a very extensive topic. There's a lot of things happening and a lot more things that will happen in the future. But I'll give you a glimpse of some of the things that are happening. Obviously, we cannot discuss everything on this particular topic now, but at least by the end of this, hopefully you would have gotten some glimpse of what challenges are there and what possibilities exist. So let's get started. Okay, so the photo that you see on the left-hand side of this was a photo taken by me at Rakhigari. This is if you can see, there are these brick structures here. This is part of the first one of the first cities that humanity built on this planet, part of the Mohenjo-daro Harappa civilization, or as others now have said that this is part of the Indus-Saraswati civilization. And these were the first houses, one of the first houses that our ancestors built. So, you know, in some sense, this brick, the brick that you see today that ASI and others are uncovering in northern India, these are the first fundamental building blocks of the human habitats. So to build these first cities, humans used a material that was abundant, and that's soil, right? Soil was the most abundant material that was there. And it turns out that the top, so the technical name for, so let's say you have a planet and then you have the top layer, and then you obviously have the core at the center, then you have the mantle layers and others. But the top of the surface, which contains, let's say, this weathered and fragmented soil, rocks and sediments, etc. This is the technical name for that is regolith. Okay, so instead of calling it soil, we'll call it by the technical name regolith, and we'll see why we need that. And this is a reference for this particular definition if you ever want it. Basically, it is the fine powdery material that is there on the surface of a planet or a surface of a structure like moon. It does not refer to structures like hills, valleys, etc. Large geological structures, it doesn't represent that. It doesn't represent the core of the planet also, and it doesn't represent any other thing. It's just the fine powdery thing that is there on the surface. We'll get a little bit more idea of what regolith is by seeing this second photograph. I hope you can see this particular photograph. You can see here, this is the footprint of the first Apollo astronaut, Neil Armstrong, on the moon, and this is taken from the NASA's website, and it said on the website, it is instructive to read, that the first footprints on the moon will be there for 1 million years. There is no wind to blow them away. So on the moon, there is no atmosphere, and you have this fine powdery material. This powdery material is the regolith. In the regolith, you can see this footprint of the astronaut. Right? So so you can be a little bit more clear on what this regolith is the sandy structure, sandy upper layer of a surface of a planetary body. So now we know that this regolith exists, but on the moon you have a lot of challenges, right? Yeah, there's a bit of a lag between my changing the slides here, and yeah. So moon, let's take a look at it. It's a slightly alien world to us. It has no atmosphere. Okay, volatile molecules have been detected, but that doesn't mean there are this is an atmosphere. Volatile molecules like water, etc. But that doesn't give an atmosphere. It's very sparse. extreme temperature variations from searing heat to chilling cold. If you've known, it is approximately, it goes from minus 200 degrees Celsius to plus 100 degrees Celsius, approximately in that range. And that's a huge variation of temperature that happens. There is no magnetic field and no atmosphere, no protection from radiation. It also has 1/6 of Earth's gravity. So these are all challenges for any structure to be made on the moon. What are the advantages? Well, we don't have our standard bureaucracy there. You don't have to fill out a lot of forms for making structures, right? So you don't have to submit something in triplicate at different offices and get permission again and again. That's just a small joke, but you know, to figure out how to make things on moon, we also have to understand, is it truly an alien world? Right? All these challenges that I've written here on the left, these show that none of these things are like Earth. So what is it that is like Earth? Now, to understand that, we have to go back to the theories of what moon, and the giant impact hypothesis says that perhaps a big object came and collided with the Earth, and all this debris got strewn, and then this debris coalesced in the form of a moon, and it also fell on the surface of Earth, right? So what happens is the moon is not completely alien. In some sense, it's a part of us because it collided with us. It shared materials. Materials were flung out, and some of it fell on Earth. Some of it coalesced, and vaporized debris became the moon. And there are similarities. That's what you would expect from this theory. It turns out it is actually true. It so happens that the moon and Earth, they share a history together, and because of this, they share a lot of there are geological similarity. So what happens is there are certain types of rocks called anorthosite rocks. They are very similar to the rocks and sand that are found on the moon. Now, it so happens that on Earth, we have a deposit of anorthosite in Salem, Tamil Nadu. Okay. There is a mine there, and the mines that you this is the type of white rock that you find there. If you take this rock and if you pulverize it into small fine grain, and this is what this grain is going to look like. I have taken these pictures out of these two papers from ISRO that were published. These people were some of the pioneers who developed this lunar sand simulant. You see, if you want to create structures on Earth, we have to use material that is like the moon, but not obviously from the moon. So what they found is these mines from Tamil Nadu, they have these rocks which are very similar to the rocks on moon. They took them, they powdered it, and now you have this moon's regolith simulant. Okay, simulant. So it is important to understand that these are simulants. So we are simulating the actual material that is found on the moon. Now they also did a very nice comparison of what is there on the moon versus what is the what are the contents of the simulant. So it turns out that the simulant or even the moon rock primarily consists of SiO2, which is sand. I hope you remember some of your high school things where SiO2, which is basically sand. Let me, yeah, now it's here. So this is the primary constituent of it. There are some oxides like aluminum oxide, calcium oxide, and others, which are less than the majority participants. The majority is silicon dioxide, sand, and others are minority participants in this. So what you can now do is you can go to Salem. You know that Earth and the Moon formed had some similarity or some past shared history, because of which there are rocks on Earth that are similar to that of what are found on the moon. You can go and find them, and you can bring them to the lab, and you can create these moon regolith simulants. The good thing about them is now that you have them in the lab, you can start doing some experiments together, right? Now, we took some of this regolith, and I'm just waiting for this thing to update it. Oh, there it is. So if you take the same regolith and if you put it under a scanning electron microscope, this is what it looks like, okay, the lunar regolith. And you can also do complex studies, like this is an XRD pattern of the lunar regolith, and you can see these different peaks. They represent the different elements, and there are different amounts of this element that are there. You can see that these are not nice round shaped. These are obviously jagged shaped, and this is what you would expect. But we had this rock that we had this thing in our lab. Now, what we wanted to do is we wanted to make bricks out of it, just like our ancestors had done long ago. So we wanted to explore more sustainable techniques for doing that. Now, it turns out that there is a process called MICP, which actually stands for microbial induced calcite precipitation. You can see this process here in the bottom. This is a bacteria. This green thing right here is a bacteria, and you can see this blue object, right? This is actually calcium carbonate. And there are certain types of bacteria, certain very specific species called the ureolytic bacteria, which can take urea and calcium, and through a process called ureolysis, there's a complex chain of reactions here which are not fully shown, but you end up with this calcium carbonate formation, which is what you are seeing here. There are other processes also. I'm not going into all of that. We use this particular process called the ureolytic bacteria, which performs ureolysis, and it can precipitate calcium carbonate. Now, what happens is this bacteria, the reason we took it is it is there in Earth's soil, and it exists in very large quantities in the Earth soil, and it helps bind the structure of Earth soil together. Because this, you can see this golden thing here. These are biopolymers that the bacteria secretes, and what it does is when the bacteria is in the soil, it helps bind the soil together. So we were quite interested in this thing, and so this process obviously gave us some ideas for making bricks outside. So what we did is we got this bacteria into the lab, and we put it into a small cuvette, and you can see this here you have the liquid plus bacteria. Here you can't see the bacteria, obviously it's very small. This is bacteria plus the food that has been given. So when the bacteria is food, the right food, it results in a precipitation of calcium carbonate in the system. Okay. And this is here, this is a scanning electron microscope image on the left, but this is what you see in the lab with your, if you want to look with your own eyes, this is what you will see. Again, if you put it under a microscope, this is what you find, and you can see these nice bacterial polymers. These are the bacteria right here, and this is calcium carbonate, this long, big object here. So we know that with this particular process, the bacteria, when it is mixed with Earth's soil, it can lead to strong consolidation of the soil, and it sort of hardens in the form of a brick. So we said, okay, why not try that also with the lunar soil? Let's see what happens. So what we did is we took this bacteria and this specific particular microbe that can participate in this process, and okay, so and we mix it with our lunar soils. Okay, so bacteria plus lunar regolith. These are obviously lunar regolith simulants that we had used in the lab, and when you mix them, it actually forms a slurry. Okay, I mean, this is just an example image of a slurry. This is obviously concrete being poured, but this is what a slurry looks like. It's almost solid, but it also flows like a liquid. That's what a slurry is. So when bacteria is mixed with this lunar soil, it forms a slurry. Slurry is a state of matter that is in between a fluid and a solid. Okay. So with this, what we did is we were able to put it into these casts, and we poured this lunar soil simulant into these small casts. And for example, we put it through an aluminum block. Then we poured this soil into these casting structures. This is a normal casting process. And then we incubated it for 5 days, right? Incubation for 5 days. This is almost like cooking. At house, you cook. So we just put this incubator, and this is put at room temperature, by the way. So this is basically also not cooking. We just leave it out there. And we return after 5 days. What did we see? Well, we got this consolidated structure, but in the beginning, this consolidated structure broke. And it was very, very weak, which surprised us. And we kept trying this for 2 years because this bacteria, when grown in earth soil, grows very well. And it leads to very, very hard rock, brick-like structure. So if I do the same experiment with earth soil, it forms this really nice, hard brick-like structures, but not with the lunar soil. So we kept trying and we kept failing, which made us feel that there must be something wrong or something missing in this entire thing. And actually, that was true. What was happening? I mean, you have seen the lunar soils, right? Now, the lunar soil is not, if you remember, if you go back to this particular slide, you can see that the lunar soil is very rough, right? The scanning electron microscope image you could see. And by the way, I mean, these kind of things like silicon dioxide, aluminum, etc., these are also present in the earth soil, but there is something missing. There is something there is earth soil that is not there on the moon. You know what that is? That is a clay. There is no clay on the moon. It is sand. This white powdery thing that you are seeing here, this is the old rover, by the way, that is being tested at ISRO. There is no clay over there. And clay, as we know, is an important constituent for retaining fluid, right? So because there is no clay on moon, so bacteria were dying. So now, obviously, you cannot take so much clay with yourself, and that became a big problem. Bacteria were not surviving in the lunar sand. So then we said, okay, maybe can we use something like guar? Guar is a powder, is a fruit that you grow in northern India that grows in large quantities. This fruit, when you dry it and then you powder it, it becomes this powdery substance, like here it is shown, right? And this powdery substance, when you mix it with water, it dissolves very quickly and it results in a biopolymer. And we decided, okay, if the bacteria, we have to help the bacteria in some way. We cannot give clay because clay is present in very, very large quantities in the Earth's environment. But we said, okay, we will put very small amounts, less than 1% of this guar gum into this clay structure. So if you are creating 100 kgs of this slurry, you will put only 1 kg of this guar gum there, or less than that. And when we did that, the bacteria started growing very, very well. And what you got is you got this really, really nice brick-like structures. So you remember the casts we were showing. So this is a nice, it's a cube-like structure. You can't see at the top, there are forces being applied from the top and the bottom. So it is being compressed. Okay. And this is to determine experimentally a compressive strength. So I'll just play this in a video, and we apply compressive strength on this brick-like structure. And you can see now that there's a crack that has grown, right? So if you apply too much force, this brick-like thing breaks. So we studied the compressive strength for this, and when you have just the bacteria plus this SP is the name of the bacteria. LSS is, by the way, the lunar soil simulant. SP is the name of the bacteria. When you just have the lunar soil simulant and the bacteria, the compressive strength is very low. So it's of the order of some kilopascals. Kilopascals, by the way, just to give you an idea, it's weak enough that I can break with my own hand. Okay, it's like bread, so hardened bread that you can break. This now we added on the lunar soil simulant, we had the bacteria now, and we added this bit of a guar gum. right? And when we tested that, we found that the compressive strength was of the order of 2.5 megapascal to almost 3 megapascal. Now, just to put this into perspective, around ice is of the order of 5 megapascal, 5 higher sometimes, depending on the temperature, around 5-6 megapascals. So 2.5 is not bad. It's almost like half of ice. And with ice, you can make igloos, right? So on what did we learn about gravity on moon? It's 1/6. So this compressive strength is good enough to start making houses with this kind of bricks. And by the way, if any of you want to read the paper on this, this is the particular paper. You can find it. If you want a copy and you cannot get it, you let me know. I'll get it for you. These bricks were strong enough that we actually put it, by the way, I mean, if any of you are from mechanical engineering or you have gone to a machine shop, you'd recognize this. This is a lathe, this is the mounting chuck, and this is the brick when it comes out from our mold. This is a cylindrical form, and we have put a cutting tool here. Okay, and I just wanted to show you how hard and how strong these are. So this is metal, right? This cutting tool here is a metal. It's becoming fine powdery like substance. So now these bricks are strong enough that it could be shaped and be made dimensionally precise. These things we called it them to be space bricks. By the way, your typical house brick, okay, typical house brick is usually somewhere between 5 to 20 megapascals strength. Okay. Megapascals is the SI unit. Mega is 10 to the power 6. Pascal is the SI unit of pressure. So this is 5 megapascals is the compressive strength of this particular uh, type of brick, the whole house brick. But we had reached some 2.5. This particular research, as you saw, this was published quite long ago. It was 2021. Actually, the work was done even earlier. It took us some time to publish that work. Since then, we have done a lot more work where we have manufactured in many different ways. So we have explored 3D printing. Unfortunately, because of the lack of time, I'm not going into all details. I've been told we were given 30-minute lecture time, so I wanted to keep to that. We have done 3D printing with this slurry, whatever you saw. We have used different type of binders and they have worked out very, very well. We have tried different types of casting. We have also tried sintering. Okay, in sintering we have tried furnace sintering. Sintering is a technique where you make bricks by heating them together. So you put this brick like this cast into an oven, and the oven goes to a very high temperature, close to 1,000 degrees Celsius, and then the particles start to adhere themselves. By the way, one more thing is when you saw the footprint of the Apollo astronaut on the sun, that material is just loose sand, okay, and the particles are just sticking to each other because of friction. So in sintering, what you do is you heat it at a very high temperature such that the bonding becomes very, very strong. It becomes particles migrate from atoms and molecules. So at the edge, they fuse together and they become bonded. We have reached strengths greater than 20 megapascal that way. I just told you the strength of a house brick, typical house brick is 5 to 20. So we have reached strengths greater than that with sintering. We have also done 3D printing, which still gives slightly weaker bricks, but it's good enough. We have used different type of binders. So we realized after when we used guar gum, we realized that, you don't have to use just bacteria. You can also use biological polymers, and that's giving very good results. So we've recently used biopolymers to construct bricks, and we have gone one more step further. We have till now all the bricks were being constructed in earth-like environment in the lab, right? I mean, I cannot construct a moon-like environment in my lab. But then we made something called MARS. MARS stands for Martian Atmosphere Simulator. And here we we make it vacuum, just like Martian vacuum. Mars has I can't recollect it off the top of my head, but about 100 times thinner or less pressure on its surface than Earth, 100 or more or something like that. So we create this vacuum, Martian-like atmosphere, fully carbon dioxide, and we make our brick in this small jars here. And we have made bricks with different type of materials, including now in Martian soil also. And we have seen that with biopolymers, they can use it for lunar and Martian regoliths and made into bricks. It is now available on bioarchive, which is a preprint service. If you want, you can read the entire paper. But we have been able to make really, really strong bricks with that. Stronger than 20 megapascal. I mean, that is one of the strengths that we have. So by this time, we have, in the last 4 or 5 years, we have fully uh, become masters of this particular of regolith handling and how to make structures with that. And we have done quite a bit of it. So we are now fully capable of making this kind of brick-like structures from 3D printing, through biopolymers, to bacterial polymers, through sintering, all these different techniques. And so where does it place us in terms of materials? By the way, the reason we are looking, why did we start with the lunar regolith? That's another question. I had initially said that the first human colonies had used the soil of that place to make these bricks. But why did they do that? Why did they use the soil that was there? Why not something else? Because that's the most abundant material that is there, right? And that's logical. For any long-term structure formation, you have to use whatever materials are locally available to you. Now, in the context of space technology, there is a technical name for this. It is called ISRO, which is a short form of in situ resource utilization. This idea promotes the use of local environments or local materials found in extraterrestrial environments. And regoliths of Moon and Mars have similarities and dissimilarities with the Earth's soil. They're in some senses similar, but they're also quite dissimilar. Making bricks or consolidated structures. This is an important technology towards setting up extraterrestrial colonies. But this is only the first step. Okay? There are many other steps, many other technologies that have to be worked upon. For example, these bricks are also porous. Okay, so these bricks also have porous structures, so you can have air pass through from one end to the other. You can have porosities of the order of less than 10%, but it's still a very, very large amount of porosity. So to create colony-like structures or to create houses, you will probably need some kind of other structure, like an inflatable structure or something, and then protect this through another layer of bricks. So you need multiple technologies to build structures, okay, on the Moon or the Mars, and there are many of these technologies that are still developing. So for example, this inflatable structure. These are being there's research going on in India. There's some very fantastic, interesting work going on in ISRO or in ISRO and other places. But still, we are still at the infancy of these technologies. By the way, it is instructive to place our space bricks in what is called as an Ashby chart. What you see on the left side, it's an Ashby chart. On the y-axis, you have a compressive strength, and on the x-axis, you have density. And these are different materials which fall into different places in this Ashby chart. The Ashby chart allows you to compare one material versus the other. Our space bricks initially started with quite a little bit of strength somewhere around here, and then now it has gone all the way here. So our space bricks occupy this area, and there are some harder than polymers. They are now harder than some of the earth bricks also, and this tells us this new type of material. It occupies a sort of a new place in the area of materials altogether. There's obviously a lot more interesting things from the perspective of materials, all of which I'm not able to talk about today. Time is limited, so I wanted to tell you about other things as well. We are working on other allied technologies for creating these habitats, including the space bricks and others. I am unable to talk about some of our work is not published, so I will not talk about our work. That is why I took out publicly available work. This is the European Space Agency's Moon Village document. It is publicly available, so that's why I'm using it. You can also read it. You can get the entire PDF document for yourself. This is a very instructive document because European Space Agency did a full-fledged study, and this is not very old. This is 2020. This is still at a conceptual level, where they wanted to look at these different aspects of habitat creation. For example, deliver functional habitat features, define what the interior should look like, standardize different interfaces. These are some of the important things. Obviously, also assess potential in situ resource utilization. So you can see that others, including European space agencies, they are doing research on this topic right now. Much of the work that they are put into this document, they are still in progress. They are telling us about the technologies that will be necessary for creating that. So the document has some very nice renderings of settlements. Most of these technologies do not exist yet. They need to be created. So for example, here they are showing a sintered path, mobility path for rovers, which can be made through the sintering process that I was discussing about, of heating the lunar regolith to very, very high temperatures. There are other structures. And there's one more document here where you can see it says advanced phase ISRO structures. So these are the structures right here. This is a conceptual diagram, by the way. This doesn't exist. To create this kind of ISRO structures from the, so basically ISRO means that you will, the regolith that is out there, you will source that regolith and create these structures from there, the local material, right? So for that, you have to know how to make bricks from that. So that's where our space bricks technology comes in. ESA is also developing 3D printing technologies for the same. We are also developing that. There's multiple agencies all looking into 3D printing of Martian and lunar regolith also for the same thing. So there's a lot of interesting work that is going on. Okay, so till now I've been talking about structures outside, right? We've been talking about how to use the lunar regolith, how to create bricks, structures, etc. out of them. But we are on Earth. What do we do? How do we get sort of started on Earth? For that, what people have started doing, obviously you cannot do all experiments on the moon. You have to do some experiments here on the Earth before you can go out there. This idea of research, human research analogs or extraterrestrial analog sites has come up, where you take a site and you create a colony-like situation. And at the beginning, these are analog sites. For example, this is a site called Hera, which is being used in the Johnson Space Center, USA. It is a confined space where astronauts can train as if they are on the moon or Mars. In the beginning, these analog structures, by the way, there are two spellings of analog. This spelling is not correct. There is another spelling with an E. That's the proper spelling, but even in the quiz, you will see there are two spellings. It's the same thing here. We'll use each other, the analog GUE and the analog sort of interchangeably. In the beginning, when this analog research started, it was mainly for a study of isolation and confinement and remote conditions of a human crew. And for example, this can take 4 people and they can sustain themselves for 7 to 45 days, do different things. But now they are also starting to feel, we are realizing that these analog habitats can be used to test these different technologies also. For that, you have to make a much bigger analog and in a real physical place, right? So this kind of, this is a lab analog. This is sitting inside the NASA Space Center, and that cannot be used. We need realistic scenarios. I mean, and NASA has also done some of that. The one example of that is NEMO, which is the NASA Extreme Environment Missions Operations. And this is, you can see it is placed in a deep ocean. And this is obviously quite complicated. So we want to create designated lunar analog sites where we can test all these different technologies. Now, while we have test beds for rovers, etc., India does not have any designated lunar analog sites yet. Okay. And this is a bit of a problem. We need such sites. So one of the things I did, I mean, we went to Ladakh, we scouted that site. It's a fantastic place. I hope some of you have been there. If not, you will go there sometime. It's a fantastic place for trying out different technologies, trying out using it as a test bed for uh, for uh, for these analog sites. So this is a picture of something called as a moon valley from Ladakh. It looks like the moon. Okay, this is Lamayuru. It is very close to Leh. It's a one-day trip, less than one-day trip from Leh and back. If you go to Leh, you can quickly go and come back to this place called Lamayuru, which is also in the local language, it means moon valley or something. There are many other geological features in Ladakh. For example, Ladakh is a cold desert, so you will find sand and the gravel and regolith type material here, and you can take a large piece of land there and use it to study or basically work on these different technologies. So we did that. We actually published this paper that Martian Lunar Analog Research Station in India, Ladakh is a potential site. These are my other authors, Dr. Binita and Group Captain Shumanshu Shukla, who is also the astronaut designate right now. So once we proposed this, this got quite a lot of attention in the news also. So we're quite happy about it. And this proposition was made last year. So this is last year summer that this article came out. And after this, I was very happy to see there was this very brave woman, Astha. What she has done is she has delivered India's first pilot project. It is not a full-fledged analog project yet, but she has done this project of building an analog site in Ladakh, and this you should have seen this. You'll be able to find news articles on this. So this was quite interesting to see. It's not long term, so it was taken and then it's been taken back. But we need to have more such experiments, and we need to have a designated place for doing these experiments in the future. So I mean, we have to do so many different things, right? We have to develop all these different technologies, and we have to have these analog sites. But once we have these analog sites, we also have to transport these bacteria, etc., to the moon, and we have to do experiments there. How do we get started? And we have been doing some experiments. I'll not go into a lot of detail here. In space, to send bacteria, what people are doing is using lab-on-a-chip technologies, and this is one of the astronauts. You can see that in the International Space Station, there are so many experimental cubicles that are there. You can see all these experimental racks that are there behind the astronaut. And if the India's Bharatiya Antariksh Station comes up, it will be a very good opportunity for us to start biological experiments and biomanufacturing experiments in space. And we have been developing one such prototype in our lab, which is called MANAS. It's a acronym for microbial analysis in space. This is what one of our device looks like. You can see this is a 5 rupee coin. This is a chamber in which the bacteria grows. You can't see it. It is sealed, but there is an optical sensor here. There is another measurement device here, and the light goes through. You can measure the growth of the bacteria. This is the bacteria growing in our Manas chamber. The advantage of this Manas chamber is that it can be made into a small box, and it could be put onto Gaganyaan, or it could be put into another rocket and sent to the moon or sent to Mars or elsewhere. This is a paper that we had published. Again, this is a slightly old work. This is the version 1.0. It was published in Acta Astronautica. And since then, we have come a long way. We have made the full version of it. I don't want to go into, again, too much details about this because it's a slightly different topic. Now it's about taking some of these materials from Earth to the Moon and Mars. This is a second generation that was prepared 2 years ago. Now we have a full small satellite version of this also ready that I'm not going to show you. We are still in the process of publication. This is what it looks like. It's a small device which can be held in the hand. That's how small it is. And you can put bacteria in here. You can send it up if anybody uses it, or if the bacteria can produce biopolymers, the astronauts can extract these biopolymers, put it with the moon brick and make their buildings, etc. Out there. So this is what we are hoping for. There's a lot of interesting opportunities that are there. It's this kind of building structures on the moon, etc. This requires a whole set of technologies. Okay, a lot of different technologies, which is going to make require a lot of people working in a lot of different areas altogether. So the take-home message. The take-home message is make on moon. This is the most important thing. Just like make in India. Once we go to moon, we cannot. We have to depend on the resources available on the moon itself. Regolith is the most abundant material on the moon, and with that you can make brick-like structures. Bricks are these brittle structures. And as we saw, we looked at the compressive strength, which compressive strength is when you put this brick, sandwich it between two plates, and you compress it. And you apply a compressive force, and then you see at what strength it breaks. So that tells you how good the brick is. So we saw that we have been able to make bricks which are as good as Earth bricks and even better using our technologies. But this is just one aspect of the extraterrestrial habitat where there's so much more to do. We have to be able to build other structures which also participate in this. We have to build interior, we have to create interior designs, we have to look at so many different aspects all at once. So I think this is not a topic for just one person. This requires thousands of people over many years of work for this dream to be finalized. By the way, this is a cartoon somebody else made when our paper got published. It received a lot of interest from the news portal, so I thought it was quite funny. And obviously, some other cartoonist had made that. It was quite interesting to see. So with that, I think this is my research group. This is an old photo. This Rashmi and Nitin, who have done a lot of work, and now others are also doing it. Amog is here, who is also doing a lot of interesting work. Hopefully some of that gets published, and we'll show you in the coming days. And these are all our funding agencies. We received a lot of funding from ISC, from ISRO, from the government of India, the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, and DBT. So thanks to all of them for all the support. And yeah, so I'll conclude at this moment, and we can take questions.